In this video we're going to do the reverse of what we did in the last video. So in the last one we found the gradient at a given point, but this time we're going to do the opposite and find the point at which the gradient is a specific value. So in the first example we have to find the coordinates of the point on this curve at which the gradient is -10. So as usual we're going to start by differentiating it. So dy by dx is going to be 6x plus 2. And when it says that the gradient is -10, that's saying that dy by dx is equal to -10. But we already found dy by dx is this, so this has to be equal to -10. So if 6x plus 2 is equal to -10, then we know that 6x is -12, which means that x is equal to -2. So we found the x value, where the gradient is -10, and we now just have to find the y value because we need the coordinates. So to find the y coordinate at this point, we put that back into the y equation. So y is going to be equal to 3 times -2 squared plus 2 times -2 minus 10. And -2 squared is 4, so that's the same as 3 times 4 plus, well, 2 times -2 is -4. Let's put brackets around that. So we got -4 in here, and then minus 10. So we know that 3 times 4 is 12, and plus -4 is the same as -4, and then minus 10. So this is just 12 minus 14, which is -2. So y is actually also -2. So x is -2 and y is -2. So that means that the coordinates is going to be -2, -2. And as usual, we can check it on our calculator. So let's bring in the calculator. Alright, we're going to have to type in the formula. So we've got 3x squared plus 2x minus 10. And let's look at that. Alright, it looks like we got the wrong scale on here. So let's look at it from -10 to 10. And then y will do -10 to 10. -10 to 10 is usually a fairly reasonable window to use. Okay, so here we can see the curve. And we're going to check what happens at the point -2, -2. So let's check if our, so let's move this over here. So first of all, let's check what the gradient is at this point. So we're expecting it to be -10, but let's see if it is. So -2 is our x value, and the gradient is -10. So that's what we wanted. And if we look at the other thing we can find out is whether the value is correct. So if we press enter, we get to the value option, and we want to know what the y value is when x is equal to -2. So we press enter, and it says that y is also -2. So we know that we got the gradient right, and we know that we got the coordinates right. So that's good. Let's go back and right. Let's look at the next question. So this question says that there are 2 points on this curve where the gradient is 1, and we have to find the coordinates of both the points. And we're not going to do it all by hand because we're going to use a calculator when we can. So first of all, let's plot this curve on the calculator. So we've got 3 over x plus 28x. And the window's probably not going to be correct for this. No, we can't see any of it. So we're going to have to go to window, and I'm actually going to zoom right in and put the x values very close, and then put the y values very big. So it's very zoomed out along y and very zoomed in along x. And now we can actually see some of the graph. So we're going to find out where the gradient is equal to 1 on this curve, but we can't do that directly here because if we look at our options, the only way when we can find the derivative is if we know the value where we're finding the derivative, which we don't know yet. So we'll put this to the side. and do a bit of work by hand. So if y is equal to 3 over x, then we can rewrite that as y is 3x and minus 1 plus 28x. And we can now differentiate it because now we have a negative power. So dy by dx is going to be minus 3x to the power minus 2 plus 28. Yep. And we want to know where the gradient is 1. So this is going to be equal to 1. So we're going to have to do some rearranging here. First of all, we can add this whole minus 3x to the power negative 2 to both sides. So that means that we've got 28 equals 1 plus 3x to the power negative 2. And now we can take away 1 from both sides to get 27 equals 3x to the negative 2. And we can also divide by 3. So we're going to have 9 is equal to x to the power negative 2. And the x to the power negative 2 is the same as 1 over x squared. So we now have that 9 is equal to 1 over x squared, and we can multiply both sides by x squared, which gives us 9x squared equals 1, and then divide both sides by 9 to get x squared is 1 over 9. I'm running out of space here. Let's continue up here. So if x squared is 1 over 9, then that means x is going to have to be plus or minus the square root of 1 over 9, which is plus or minus 1/3. So we've actually found two values now, which is what we wanted. So we wanted 2 points, and we've got two different values for x. So x is positive 1/3 and x is negative 1/3. That's when the gradient is equal to 1. And from here on, we can actually use the calculator. So we got the curve already, and we're going to find, well, first of all, let's confirm that the gradient is actually equal to 1 at this point. So, I'm sorry, I pressed the wrong one there. So that's the curve that we got, yeah. And then just press 6 to get to the gradient. And let's start with positive 1/3. So if I just type in 1 over 3, and that means that x is positive 1/3, press enter. And I get that the gradient is pretty much 1. So let's check the other one. When you have to press clear in between. So calculate the gradient when x is negative 1 over 3. Oops. Did something wrong there. So we want the gradient when x is negative 1 over 3. Yeah, I forgot to press enter. So press enter, and we get that the gradient is 1. So we have found the 2 points where the gradient is 1, but we need to find the y-coordinate now. And let's do it the calculator way. So we just go calc and then value. So when x is 1 over 3, let's see what the y value is. It says 18.33333. That means 18 1/3. So if we write this down, so when x equals 1/3, y equals 18 1/3. And now I can do the same for the other one. Value when x is negative 1/3, then y is negative 18 1/3. So x is equal to negative 1/3 means that y is equal to negative 18 1/3. And we found both of these on the calculator. And that means that we can write down the coordinates of the 2 points, which is what the question asks for. So the first one is 1/3, 18 1/3. And the second one is negative 1/3, negative 18 1/3. And this is the answer to the question.